So growth hacking, obviously it's about growth, growing a business idea, and something from an idea to an actual business. And what does a growth hacker do? There are a couple of definitions. The term has been coined a couple of years ago, but not too long ago. Basically, it means you have to do whatever is necessary to effectuate growth, so that there be growth. And oftentimes, it means that you do it consciously. You don't just try something, but you have your theory. The academics say you have a scientific approach, meaning you have your theory. Out of that theory, you devise an experiment. You then perform that experiment, observe what comes out, and by that observation, you then understand whether your assumption has been correct or not, whether you should adapt or whether you can go forward. When you go forward from an idea to something that then in the end becomes a company, something that can pay for your life, that other people want to buy, you oftentimes have to redirect. Your initial idea is seldom the best one, seldom the one that makes it in the end. So there's another term that is often used, that is the minimal viable product. And on the way from your initial idea, you have to break it down into the bits that actually can surprise a customer, can bring a customer to actually want it, to like it, to buy it. And you then hop from minimal viable product to the next one, in a couple of iterations. You do that as a lean startup, and you redirect. If it doesn't work well, your initial idea, you have to redirect to something that works better. And this redirection is then often called pivoting, going from one idea. Pivot is a strange term, but basically it means you throw away a lot of what you've done before. Consciously, you give it up and go over to something that might work then. So that's also this experimental approach. And the baseline behind pivoting or a minimal viable product is that you try to understand the assumptions, the risks that you have with your idea, and you try to address the most risky parts first. On the left side, you see the acronyms AARRR. Comes from an American guy, and Americans typically want to have abbreviations that they can remember. So he called it, Dave McClure, he called it the pirate matrix. Why? If a pirate gets on another ship, it's a pirate, and he calls something like "Arr!" and that's it. He has two A's. I put on top of that another A. Typically, if you have been in a marketing position, the first thing you try to get is awareness, visibility. So if you put another A in front of it, it's even more pirate-like. Initially, you need to get awareness of people. If you have a shop, physical shop on a street, the first thing that you want to do is to get some awareness. You're going to hang out some kind of post or poster or whatever, something that gets people's awareness. If they pass by, they should recognize that there is an interesting shop. They should get in. You may even add something like there's free coffee inside so that they get into your shop. That's, you acquire the users from a passerby into somebody who enters your shop. And if he or she gets into your shop, you've achieved something. What is it that you've achieved? You have converted the passerby into somebody who goes into the shop. And once you get him to move to the coffee machine, you put another memo there, another call to action, another trigger, where you say, we have a tombola. If you leave your email address here, you can participate in a tombola. You can get a prize, a lottery prize. What you've done now is you have activated a person. You have something that you can use to get back to him again. He has done something more than just drink a free coffee. He has given you something from him. And then, once you have activated this user who has initially just passed by, has entered the shop, you've activated him, you can then try to get him back into your shop. Retain him as a consumer at least, or then in the end as a customer. And you then try to do more, not just retain him. Typically, companies like Facebook have a metric that they use to measure how good they are at retaining users, how good they are at engaging users. Facebook has announced recently that they have 1 billion active users every day. Half a year before, they said they have reached 1 billion users overall, registered users, and only later, half a year later, they had reached 1 billion active users every day. So there's a metric that they use for that, daily active users divided by the monthly active users. If you have 80% daily active users, it would be a highly engaging interactive system where we come back every day. If you come back just once per month, then it is similar like with most of your apps on your smartphone. If you check out, you might have something between 100 and 150 or 200 apps on your smartphone. Most of them you install, use them once or twice, and after a couple of weeks you forget about them. You're not a good customer for them anymore. The app didn't do a good job at retaining you as a customer. The metric, daily active users divided by monthly active users, is close to 0. So that doesn't work out. That doesn't give you a viable business. You have to do everything to retain those users. If you retain those users, it's quite likely that since they are using it on a daily basis, they want to refer your app, your product to their friends as well. Since it's so great for you, it's awesome for you, so why not share it with others? And in the end, your goal would be to make them paying users from a freemium model into the paid users. On the right side, you see that in a similar way, you can think in the customer lifecycle terms. As a growth hacker, you always think about what's the cost of acquiring a user, the customer acquisition costs. What does it cost you to get one more user? And on the other hand, you think of the lifetime value of a user. And obviously, you should pay less for one more user than you are expected to earn from the user over the lifetime. So if your customer acquisition costs are lower than your lifetime value, then you may make a profit out of the user if you can retain the user over time. And it even pays off better if that user that you can acquire brings in more users that you don't have to pay for then. But that's more than a wish. That's just a wish for most systems, since only very few systems are viral in a way, so you cannot easily get there. But on the right side, you see, first you have to know, you have to be aware, then you need to like the system, and you need to build trust. Trust isn't easily established. You need to do something for your users to become trusting users. If they trust you, they might try the free coffee. If you just offer free coffee in a strange, well, if you wear strange suits and approach people on the street, it's not sure that they're going to try your coffee. So from try to buy to repeat and then to refer. There's another model that is quite powerful. You may know from your childhood that you have learned a lot of things, and there have been some things where you have been incentivized or where you have been praised by your parents. And if you did something, show the behavior to your parents, and if they liked the behavior, they praised you, they patted you on your shoulders or whatever, and you did more of that behavior. If you do something and if you get a reward or rewarded or praised, you do more of it. You like it, that feedback. If they, in a way, didn't like what you did, if you received another kind of a feedback, more the, what's it in English? It's stick, carrot and stick. If you more or less received kind of a punishment, then you did less of that behavior, or you didn't do it so publicly anymore. So that's the basic psychological model. If you do something, you wait for the response. If you get a favorable response, you do more. If you get something that you don't like, you might do less of the behavior. And that's behind most of the of behavioral economics, of most of advertising that you experience every day. So in this model, that's everything as you expect. Here, there needs to be a trigger, and then there can be an action, then you can hand out a reward. That's the user, that's your system. That trigger can be, typically it's external. You see an ad, and you, like here, you see an ad and you apply at a company. the ad needs to be there, otherwise you wouldn't be aware, otherwise you wouldn't take action, so there needs to be a trigger. The trigger can be external or it can be internal, something that you want, an inner drive that pushes you to do something. So those are the two triggers here, internal or external, that triggers some action, and if that action receives a reward, you might do more of something. And there's this one part that Nir, that's the first name, Nir Eyal, basically invented or made obvious to all the others now. If you get your users to do something, to invest some more time into your system, then they are more likely to come back. That's permission selling. In principle, permission selling is a theory how to get more sales by getting a first small yes in the beginning and getting then another yes and another yes, getting more and more permissions from your clients. And once you have said yes 7 times, you're quite sure to say yes another time. In the same way, it's here. If you're creating, let's say, something old-fashioned like a photo sharing portal where you can upload your photos and then apply a couple of filters or image editing features, then by investing time and uploading your photos and giving something from your personal life to the platform, even if it's not shared initially, you invest time and effort on your site, you invest it in the platform, and it's more likely that you come back then, since you have something there already. And if you've done that, you might use that content that you've uploaded to share with your friends. So that's the start for something that can go viral in the end. And as, again, here's the point to either the presentation or the book then, the Hooked. Book is called Hooked. We have been applying those techniques since a couple of years already. Catalyst is bootstrapped. We didn't have external money in the beginning. We've been growing exponentially since 2005, doubling every 2.5 years at least. That's not so important now. I'm going now to jump into 2 areas shortly since time is running out. 2 areas are first growing team size, and next, more interesting for you, I guess, how to grow, get on the hockey stick with products, startups, joint ventures. So the quick overview would be, you've seen something yesterday already. Here on the right side, you see 4 different coding contests with the participants, the best one on top, and it would be 200 or 300 or 500 people to the bottom, only the best 30 or 40 people on top. And at some point in time, I colored the people who had participated in the coding contest and had later joined Catalysts. So in the end, it's quite yellow. The best people, in a way, joined our team. And what we did consciously was we draw up the funnel, and then we think about how can we get in more people on top here, but not by paying more money, by having more ads, but what can we do to get more inbound applications that come there because they're interested in it. And one thing that we started 2015 is an employee referral program, the Talent Quest as we call it. So it's a smaller funnel within the larger funnel. And the interesting thing is that we have seen by measuring the conversion rates from the smaller funnel compared to the larger funnel, that you have a larger conversion rate. It works better than everything before. And another interesting fact is the time from when somebody is referred to Catalysts until this person starts working at Catalysts. From the first to the first day, basically, it's just 40 days, 40 calendar days. And that's not a lot, since typically you have something like a cancellation period. In Austria, that's typically more 2 or 3 months than just a few weeks. So with this new small funnel that we introduced this year, we did an incremental improvement in number of applications, which was not so high, but in the end the output was much larger than expected, and it works much faster than everything else has worked before. So the essence is not especially this idea and not implement this in your place, but keep experimenting, stay creative, try something new and measure it. If you don't measure it, you don't really know whether it works better or not so well anymore. So you need to measure the important things. You need to test ideas against each other. You need to have a baseline, like we had the large funnel before, and see whether the new idea works better than the other one. For growing business, we have on the left side the regular project business. We have small, medium, large projects. That's business as usual. That only gives us linear growth. That's not so interesting now for this talk. But it gives us confidence and visibility and credibility and trust among our clients. So it's important. It gives us freedom. We are financially free. We don't need external money for that. And it gives us money that we can invest on the right-hand side, which is, for example, high-performance computing, where we... Last year, one more sentence here, that's typically fixed-price projects, which means that we typically deliver on our promises, and below there are some challenges where we cannot guarantee success, but we only can guarantee learning. One of those extreme challenges last year was, or 1.5 years ago, was one customer approached us and asked, could we process 1 million events per second from Internet of Thing devices, from smartphones or any other sensors? We said, yeah, well, of course, why not? Then they said, could you do that energy efficient with just 700 watt per hour? That's less than what you need if you're drying your hair. And that was a challenge, since the typical traditional approach would be to go to Amazon Cloud and order just enough computing power. That didn't work in that case, so we tried it, we made it, and that was one more example of what we now do as in the area of high-performance computing. We have a couple of joint ventures right now. Catalyst is invested in 10 other companies. We are working as an incubator for others to reduce their technical risks, and in the joint venture then work together and make it grow exponentially. How do we do that? Since you don't really know Lean Startup too well, you might not know the Lean Canvas either. Anyway, it's really a practical approach, a good approach to picturize, to draw up your business idea. It has been invented by, in small letters here, Ash Moria. It's published in the book Running Lean. All the references are on the last slide again. The idea is that you come up with a large flip chart with that structure where you think of the problem first. What problem do your expected customers have? The problem and also their existing alternatives. If they have a problem, they try to solve it already. What are the current alternatives? How did they do it? And how could you do much better? So on the right side, you list your customer segments. Who do you want to address with your new solution? The solution that addresses this problem. Your unique value proposition for the top 3 features, for the top 3 problems for your customers. Then you need to understand how are you going to reach those customers. What are your channels to reach those customers, to make them aware, and once they are aware, how to acquire them, how to activate them, how to retain them, all the funnel thingy that we had before. And you also think about the revenues that you get from them and the cost structure that you have in delivering your service. And then there's one point that is neat. You should try to get an unfair advantage, something that your competitors cannot easily copy. If you're successful, you can be sure that they're going to be competitors. If you do something, you will be copied. So you have to, you have to try to protect being copied, and you should be on the lookout to get this unfair advantage. To make it obvious to your customers what's your advantage and why they cannot easily switch to an alternative. So this structure, the Lean Canvas, is a good structure. It works fine. Also the numbers in which order you approach those areas, that's fine. That works really good. This structure is often used in startup events, startup live events that are hosted around the world. When you go from idea to pitch from Friday to Saturday or Sunday. This structure also is a process. Initially, you start out with your ideas, you brainstorm ideas, a couple of canvases that you draw up. Then you work out an idea some more, and you might stumble on red areas that you don't really trust. They don't feel right. You're not sure, but it really works, what you think about. So you need to spend more of your creativity on the red areas to make them green. And once they are green, you can be confident that you have a good chance to make a business out of that. So The book gives you an interview guide for the problem interview. This stage here, to understand the problem some more, you need to interview prospective customers. You need to discuss with them in the next step with the solution interview, how would they like your solution. In the next step, this minimal viable product interview, you need to get the feedback, would they like your solution in principle? Would they be prepared then, last step, to pay something, and would the price point that you imagine be fine for your customers? So this is a good book. I've put, for our use, I've put it into a Google spreadsheet that we use typically. That's available on Google Drive. If you want to have access, use this link or send me an email. I'm going to share it with you. It's nothing more than the book, but you don't have the book with you all the time, and it's in a way that you can use to collaborate on your business ideas. You can copy it, you can make copies of the sheet to show how it evolves, how your idea evolves, and it works fine for us in a lot of cases already. One example that I would tell about more if I had more time, it's just 50 seconds anymore. One of the offerings that we invented this year is penetration testing, basically ethical hacking other people's systems. And when we thought about how to approach it, we thought, who are our customers? What are their problems? How do we reach those customers? What's our unique value proposition? And in this case, we also had a unique advantage, unfair advantage. Some of our team members have been participating in the European Cybersecurity Challenge. That's a European-wide challenge of hackers, and the best teams then, well, we are the best ones. And this challenge has been won by the team where 2 of our members have been part of the members. So we keep advertising our services by the achievements, public achievements from our team members. That's appreciated by our customers. So you always try to find those bits that can help you in advertising it. That's it. You can reach out to me at any time. I'm going to share whatever I've learned so far. If you have something that is of interest to me, please let me know. Here are some references for running lean canvas, etc., for growth hacking, and many more books on this topic on our bookshelves on Goodreads. We are using Goodreads quite a lot for organizing our books, our knowledge on a public platform. Goodreads has been adopted or bought by Amazon a couple of years ago. Still, it's a good way to get pointers, get hints what to read next. Well, there's the global success rate for startups, which says that 1 out of 20 or so has a good chance. So overall, the startup business is highly interesting and engaging and whatever, but most of them don't make it. From everything that I've seen from our experience, our own experience, our success rate improved a lot through the Lean Canvas. Typically, you would avoid the red areas, wouldn't put more creativity in there, and you would fail. By using the Lean Canvas, it's so obvious where you have to be creative, so that really helps. I don't know whether your chances increase from 1 out of 20 to 1 out of 10, so that's hard to tell, but use that and use people who have been using it as your consultants or the people that you discuss it with. I've been using the business model canvas before. I like the Lean Canvas much more. Why? Well, because of the order, because of the focus on the channel, how you reach the customers. The structure works, in my opinion, much better than the business model canvas.